Hello and welcome everyone again into another video, and in today's video we will be talking about the best teams in the Fantasy Cup Great League Edition. We've had Fantasy Cup in the past, but it has always been an Ultra League Edition. And this is the first time we've had Fantasy in the Great League Edition. What's Fantasy Cup? Basically 1500 because it's a Great League, and only Dragon, Steel, or Fairies are the Pokemon that's allowed to be used in this cup. And whenever you hear a Steel or Fairy, there are two Pokemon that always shine in the Great League. Yes, of course, Registeel and Azumarill. Why? Because if you look at the Pokemons that are allowed to be used in this cup, not that many stuff that beats Reggie. Technically, only counter users. So we're talking about Escav, Lucario, and Haxorus. And guess what? Azu beats all of these stuff. So technically, those two makes the perfect core. But if we look at the PB Poke ranking, we have Registeel at number 1, followed by Stunfisk, then Azu, then Lucario, then Tapu Fini, then Escavalier. And here we have a guest, Tonatitor. Okay, that fire dragon Pokemon that always like give you like a back view. This one, we have it here. Yeah, it's right there. Why? It has Incinerate, Dragon Claw, and Overheat. It's pretty much a good closer. It beats all the Steel, but it gets destroyed by an Azu because it does no, it does neutral damage because it's Sub-Dragon. But yeah, Azu technically just the smoke this Pokemon. And we have Alolan Sandslash. So Alolan Sandslash was supposed to be the Steel that beats the Steel, but no, it's no longer the case because we have Lucario that can do that. We have Haxorus that can do that also. Dragon that beats the Steel. But you know who also can beat the Steels? Shadow Flygon. Because Shadow Flygon can you can run Mud Shot technically with Earth Power, and 2 Earth Power technically can KO Azu from the Shadow one. I think you need a 3. You might need 3. Don't call me on that. But I remember it used to beat Azu before Azu was an XL Azu. Now it's no longer. It can no longer do that. But yeah, nothing appreciates an Earth Power from Shadow Flygon. Thing hits so hard. You could do Gabite. You could do Garchomp, but technically in Great League, if you want to use a Dragon Ground Pokemon, Flygon is actually the best. And followed by Excadrill, Flygon, Skarmory. What does Skarmory do? Lose to Registeel. That's something it can do. I don't think it beats Lucario now because Lucario resists the Steel Wings. Yes, Lucario technically doesn't resist anything because of the low defensive stats, but I think Lucario now can destroy Skarmory in the 1 and the 2. Just like you power a punch and you ramp up your counter. Slurpuff is a very interesting one because it's a fairy Pokemon that has access to Flamethrower, so technically it can hit the Steel, super effective. But do we need to do that to beat the Steels? I mean, Azu with Hydro Pump can can nuke all the Steels, except with Registeel, because Reggie lives Hydro Pump very comfortably. And with the Bubble nerf, I think now Azu, with the Bubble buff, Azu can KO with like Bubbles plus Hydro plus Ice Beam. Tapu Fini doesn't struggle that much against Reggie. It's a bad matchup, but like it has some fast move pressure plus charge move damage. So there is a Magnezone, the Pokemon that I found interesting in this cup. Like I was trying to find a Core Breaker that can do some sneaky stuff where like you could use this Pokemon where like it won't be that bad to use, you know. And if you want to like try to spice things up, you know, like people will be safe swapping Azu and you want something that can nuke the Azu. Yeah, that's Magnezone. Magnezone got a recent buff last season. I think they gave it Volta Switch as well. So now it does some serious damage. So we talked about the best Pokemons. Again, this is a themed cup, so people won't be that creative with the stuff they choose. So there's like couple Pokemons that, well, let's say just limited options. Okay, so now moving from the best Pokemons into the best teams, what people will be running. Okay, I went through PB Poke, I did some sims, I did some team building stuff, and I found out that the strongest team on paper, okay, don't quote me on this, on paper. What does that on paper mean? Means those 3 combined together should have the most success against all the Pokemons that could be used in the cup. But technically, people don't use all the eligible stuff. People just use 10 Pokemons. So what is this team good at? Well, technically, it's just cover each other as well. Like we have Azu for being the best safe swap, Registeel, which for being the best closer, and we have Tyrantatator, Tortonator. Okay, Tortonator. We have Turtonator here, the Pokemon that beats the Steel and the Fighters. So it just technically loses to Azu. So you have Registeel to beat the Azu, and you have your own Azu to deal with it. But if you watch this channel, you would know that we always admired something called top 3 PV Poke. What's top 3 PV Poke? You look at PV Poke ranking. Number 1 Reggie, number 2 Stunfisk, number 3 Azu. So you just put them together, you combine them together, and you will get a team. We call it top 3 PV Poke. The team is not the most ideal one because technically Lucario would run just to sweep the entire team. I mean, Azu destroys this Lucario, so let's just not forget that. But yeah, Lucario would have been pretty tough for the team to beat. Same for his Cavalier. Well, technically G-Fisk can go straight Rock Slide against his Cavalier. But I myself won't be running that. You guys know we love running Azu, so we'll be doing something different. I think Lucario has a decent spot in the current meta, so I will be using Lucario double Fairy. Why? Well, I will be using Tapu Fini as a Pokemon to bait out the Steel, and if they have Escavalier in the back, in the lead, I will just swap out. So my Lucario has one job: beat the Registeel, and those two waters in the back, one has one job, which is bait out the Steel. The other one is supposed to sweep. These are pretty much all the stuff you will see, to be honest, and I'm trying to make some creative teams. I couldn't find that many. Like, there is not that much room of creativity in this cup. It's just very limited one. And I remember Home Slice Henry in the Ultra League Fantasy Cup used Registeel with Lucario and Tapu Fini, and I'm like, you can actually just use this team in Great League as well, because his Registeel Lucario had one job, which is countering down the Registeel. And then Tapu Fini had one job, which is like just being a neutral Pokemon to everything. And Registeel is there because it's just the best Pokemon. I do remember that Zionic made a video about Melmetal being the poor man's Registeel with a Flygon and Giratina or something. So the best way we could adapt that team into Great League, we just run Melmetal, Flygon, and Azu. How does this team deal? You don't deal with anything. You technically don't deal with anything. Okay, let's just say that this Pokemon doesn't beat anything. You might be able to superpower Lucario on the zero, but Lucario will always shield. So don't put, like, I don't know, hopes into it. But these are some options, you know, like, I'm just trying to make some options. If you're someone who likes Code Breakers, usually I make a team of Code Breakers. These Pokemon do not cover each other as well, but what they do is they break most of the codes. As an example, Magnezone destroys the core Azureji. Lucario beats the core Skarmory Registeel. This thing here is good against the Steels, is not bad against Fairies. This thing here is good against all the Steels. Technically, this one is the Steel that beats other Steel because Lucario takes super effective from the other counter, right? So yeah, that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Thank you so much everyone for watching. This is the end of the video. If you guys like the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Peace.